When I was in university, I learned the value of frugal cooking. Today, we'll go back to those good old days where my claim to fame were inexpensive cuts of meat, a massive head of cabbage, and a 50-pound sack of potatoes. Good food doesn't have to be expensive, nor does it have to take forever. It's an important lesson that we often forget. A buck here and a buck there equals a trip to somewhere. Today, I'll show you how to maximize flavor without breaking the bank. Flank steak is the perfect choice to infuse with roasted garlic and chili. Flash grilled, sliced thin, and super tender, this recipe will blow your mind. Who would have thought that my cabbage masala could transform a mundane vegetable into an upscale knockout? Cheap, easy, and kicked up with an Indian flair, it is the perfect accompaniment. Sweet, salty, spicy, and sour potatoes are what my dreams are made of. These Bombay potatoes are an incredible representation of what the beautiful spud can be when you show it a little TLC. No matter your budget, there's always room for a little economizing, but never at the cost of delicious food. I love quick and affordable cuisine, and one of my favorite cuts of meat is flank steak, and my incredible marinade is going to make it even better. In this bowl, I have half a cup of soaked dried red chilies. So let's dump these inside, seeds and everything. To that, I'm gonna add another layer of heat with fruity jalapenos. So I don't want these to pack a punch, so I'm going to actually just de-seed them. Really simple. Take the tops off. And let's take these seeds out. If you leave some of them, it's okay. You can use whatever kind of fresh chili you want. Serranos for an extra little bit of kick, or if you want to get really crazy, you could use Thai chilies, habanero chilies. I love heat though, so. There we go. And just rough chop these to make the job in the food processor much easier. Those go in. To that, I'm gonna add some sweetness with some balsamic vinegar, a 1/4 teaspoon of some sweet fennel seeds, and half a teaspoon of cumin seeds, and that will add some smoky earthiness. Add some salt. Want to be fairly liberal here because you got a big piece of meat to marinate, and some olive oil. Now my last and secret ingredient is deliciously sweet roasted garlic. Let me show you how to make it. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Using a sharp knife, cut a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch from the top of the cloves, exposing the individual cloves of garlic. Grab a sheet of tinfoil, fold it in half. Place your garlic clove in the center of that sheet. Drizzle with a little bit of olive oil and a pinch of salt. Roll the top of the tinfoil tightly downwards, both the left and the right side tightly inwards, creating a pouch for the garlic to roast beautifully inside. Place in the oven for 1 hour until beautifully roasted. You're gonna love my roasted garlic. So a whole head of roasted garlic is gonna go into our marinade. And let's just process it smooth. Perfect, this is what you're looking for, a nice smooth paste. Lots of chili flakes inside. Awesome, get every last bit. Here I have a flank steak, and let's marinate this. Let's take this blade out. And then get all this nice marinade in. Don't leave anything behind. Now get in there. Give it a really good massage. Oh, it smells so good. All right, now you can marinate it for as long or as little as you like. Minimum 1 hour, or even better, overnight. My flank steak's been marinating for 2 hours. I took it out of the fridge about 30 minutes ago and allowed it to come to room temperature. So as I grill it, the temperature will be nice and consistent on the inside. Now I have a grill pan here. It's really nice and hot. Let's take our meat, get all this extra marinade, and let's get it on. No oil, no nothing. All this extra marinade that you kind of have in the bowl, stick it around to the pieces of meat that don't have any. Don't let any of it go to waste. And they'll start to char and caramelize. Amazing. So for medium rare, which is how I like my flank steak, you're gonna grill about 3 to 4 minutes aside and let it rest for another 5 to 7 minutes. So for that really cool chefy crosshatch pattern, halfway through the cooking, turn it at 45 degrees. Time to flip. Look at that. So let's get the rest of this marinade. Smear it on. So I'm going to flip it one more time just because I put that raw marinade on the top. Let's give it 15 seconds. So when you're actually ready to slice this flank steak, you can see that the grains run in a certain direction. So when you slice it, you want to do it nice and paper thin and against that grain. And that way, you're going to get a nice, tender piece of meat. Take our flank steak out. Look at that. Season with a bit of salt. And a few sprigs of cilantro right on the top. Beautiful. My red chili and roasted garlic marinated flank steak is gonna fire up your taste buds. I love cabbage. Super cheap, really quick to cook, especially if you got a handy food processor to do all the slicing for you. In a skillet, let's turn it over medium heat, and let's add some oil. Here I got one large green cabbage. Let's cut it in half, just to make it more manageable. Let's take the core out. Check that right out. Nice. So I got my food processor set up with the slicing blade. Let's lock it in place. And here's our feed tube. And let's cut the pieces of cabbage just so they fit right in. Perfect. How easy is this? So now let's get some spices toasted in our oil. Let's do a level teaspoon of cumin seeds. These are whole. Half a teaspoon of whole fenugreek seeds. And a pinch of asafoetida. And it's a key ingredient when making like cabbage dishes or lentil dishes. You kind of won't know it's there, but it's awesome for digestion. So let's put in some green chili. I just have one green chili that I've diced up. Right in. And I got some sliced ginger. And that'll add some really nice crunch. Perfect. So now let's add in the cabbage that we've already sliced. Look how easy this was, so thin. You could do it by hand, but why when you got a food pro? Totally worth a $100 investment. Put all this cabbage in. So that cabbage was pretty big, so I only used half of it. Let's give it a nice stir up. Now let's add in the last remaining spices. So I got some turmeric, red chili, and some ground coriander. Let's add some sugar for some sweetness. And some salt. Give it a nice stir up. You'll see the color change almost instantly from that beautiful turmeric. This is one of my favorite ways to eat cabbage. Excellent side dish and really filling. So let's let this cabbage cook down 10 to 15 minutes until it's nice and creamy and delicious. Oh, it smells amazing. So you can see the cabbage is really nice and creamy. It's cooked down. You've lost about a third of it in volume. Let's give it a taste. I love it. I love it so much. You can get that coriander seed right away, that like lemony flavor. You got that heat from the ginger and the jalapeno and the red chili. This is really good. You're never gonna go back to eating cabbage any other way. Let's get it out of this pan. Let's garnish with a bit of chopped cilantro. Cabbage masala, sure to be your new favorite. One of my favorite inexpensive ingredients are potatoes. You can do so many things. Mash them, boil them, fry them into French fries, roast them in the oven. The possibilities are endless. My favorite, Bombay potatoes. In this skillet, we're gonna turn it on high heat, put in some oil, so in the food processor, let's get in some garlic cloves, some sliced ginger, and let's get one tomato. The other one we're gonna reserve and toss it in fresh. So just chop this up really quick. So let's get this on. Scrape down the sides, get this smooth. So this is nice and smooth. Let's let that sit there for a second and let's get some delicious stuff inside our pan. So let's start the first layer of spices with some cumin seeds. Some mustard seeds. Nice. Let's give that a nice stir up. Let's get some curry leaves in. I got a really good handful here. One of my all-time favorite ingredients, and a classic in Bombay potatoes. So now let's get in 1 diced onion. Cook this. Smells great already. These onions are nice and soft, so let's get in our tomato, garlic, and ginger mixture. Let's get rid of this blade. Right into the pan. Scrape all this out. Give it a nice mix. I love the smell of fresh ginger hitting a hot pan. Okay, let's get the last little bit of spices in. So we got some turmeric, some garam masala, some ground coriander, and for a bit of heat, some chili powder. Give this a really nice mix. So while all these are sauteing up, let's chop up a fresh tomato. I'm going to take out these seeds. I'm going to leave the tomatoes in strips, just because that's the kind of mood I'm in right now. Let's get these into the pan. Give it a stir. Awesome. The only thing that's going to make this better is adding in the potatoes. So I have some peeled russet potatoes that have been boiled, drained, cooled slightly, and cut into cubes. The reason why I did this is because if we put in raw peeled potatoes, it would take so long for them to cook, everything else will just burn. Toss them through. Oh. Looks amazing. Smells incredible. Let's season with a bit of salt. Actually, a bit more than a bit. Potatoes love salt. And so do I. If you start to get a lot of sticking in the pan, you can add a tiny bit more oil. Once you've got all your potatoes mixed up nicely, coated with all these delicious spices, let's crank the heat onto really high and allow them to start to crisp up. It'll take a good 4 to 5 minutes. Try not to touch them too much. Beautiful. These look great. Let's get them out. Look at that. So let's garnish with a lot of chopped cilantro. Nice. And some extra. Let's put a little pile right here so you can add more on after. Because Bombay potatoes aren't Bombay potatoes without a lot of cilantro on them. And there you go, one of my all-time favorite ways to eat potatoes. You're gonna love my Bombay potatoes. The amount of time you spend in the kitchen doesn't necessarily equate to how tasty the dish is going to be. So if you can get really awesome ingredients that are inexpensive and do that in 20 minutes, you can have a delicious meal. The red chili and roasted garlic marinated flank steak definitely packs a punch. There are so many kind of flavors going on with that flank steak. You got heat from the chilies, then you got kind of fruitiness from the fresh chilies, you got sweetness from balsamic vinegar and the roasted garlic. It's amazing, really amazing. The cabbage masala is awesome because first of all, it's incredibly inexpensive. The flavors of the cabbage masala, you get like creaminess from the cabbage as it kind of wilts down. You got like that whole cumin seeds. You got some red chili in there. You got those flecks of ginger. It kind of is bursting with like subtle Indian flavors. Really delicious dish. I've never met a potato I did not like. The Bombay potatoes are kind of a combination of lots of different ones. They're a bit roasted. They're kind of creamy in the middle. Lots of different flavors. They're incredible, and it seems that the more potatoes you buy, the cheaper they are, which makes it even better for inexpensive, frugal cooking. Quick, affordable, and delicious cuisine can all be said in the same sentence.